Okay guys, so there's three key points that you want to address when it comes to proper duct design. Number one, proper airflow. How do we determine the proper CFMs needed to be delivered to each space, and how do we come up with that number? Okay, I'm going to show you how we come up with that CFM value to properly heat or cool a room at its design conditions. Point number two, velocity slash noise. Now what does that mean? So not only do we need the proper airflow, we need that air to be at the proper velocity. If you do not maintain the proper velocity in a space, whether it be a commercial space or a residential space, you will have noise and you will have complaints from the customer. So I'll show you how to make sure that that's not an issue and to fall within the proper parameters on velocity and surface area. Sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Surface area of your filter. So, which is very important because that is a number one noise complaint from customers is face velocity through your return grill or return filter grill. And then three is cost. How do we do this the most economically to deliver this air? What products are we going to use to make sure that we have the proper airflow and velocity through our ducts, through the duct system without breaking the bank? Because obviously, if money wasn't an issue, we could use the best products, and it makes it a lot easier. But sometimes you got cost constraints, so we want to address that too. So I'm going to show you how we do all three of these things. You requested this manual duct design class, so I'm going to keep it very basic and keep it simple for you, so I'm not just bombarding you with a 300-page book that can a lot of guys aren't going to go through a whole book and do that. So I'm going to go over the basic points with you on how we do this and how I go about doing it simply and efficiently. So I'll be back. Okay guys, so give me a second here, we'll get this started. So, 1 second. Okay, so bullet point number one, okay, was proper airflow. Okay, how do we determine proper airflow? First thing you need to do is do a manual J, and we'll go over manual J probably after this video, so we're kind of going backwards here, but somebody requested duct design, so we're going to do that. So manual J, and you want to do a room by room load calc. This is on a new job. You need to determine what duct size goes to each room, how many CFMs each room needs. Okay, so how do we determine that? Well, first thing we determine by our heat loss is what CFM does each room need. Okay, so in order to get our CFM, we need to know what our BTU is, right? So let's say that the room needs 3,000 BTUs. That's determined by your manual J, okay? That's just a rough number. Some rooms require more or less. This is just for the sake of this video. So how we determine CFMs is based off the BTUs. So 3,000 BTUs, so there's an equal here. So BTUs equals CFM times 1.08 times your delta T. Now we always shoot for 20 degrees delta T on a air conditioning system. Most areas of the country are going to most areas of the country are going to have a higher cooling load than heating load. So you're going to want to go by that, not go by your heating side, which would be a different delta T if you're doing a gas furnace or whatever. You always want to go by this. That's going to give you your CFM needed. That's why we put dampers in all the ducts, so we can damper it down in the seasons if need be. Otherwise, you have too much airflow in the heating season. So 3,000 BTUs based off this formula. BTU equals CFM times 1.08 times your delta T. So that converts to, okay, we need 3,000 BTUs equals our CFM, which is an unknown quantity at the moment, times 1.08 times 20, which is our delta T, okay? So that converts to 3,000 BTUs equals, let's call it X, we don't know yet, times 21.6. That then converts to 3,000 BTUs equals somewhere between 138 to 140, you know, there's percentages in there, times 21.6. So this is how many CFM we would want for that room. Now, how did we come to that number? So if you take 21.6 and divide it by 3,000, that gives you this number. It's like 138 and some change or something, 139, somewhere in there. But that's how you get that. Now, take a picture of this. This makes complete sense. This is a duct design part of it. This is only part one. We're going to get into how do you find duct that's going to equal this 138 to 140 CFM for that room, and how does it go with the entire system. Let's say the entire system needs 36,000. That's where we'll start on the next video. I just wanted to do this first. Hopefully it's not too jumbled, guys. I'm trying to teach it to you properly, but it makes a lot of sense. And you'll find this on that slide rule that I have. Your BTUs will equal X, which is your CFM, times 1.8 times whatever your delta T is. And that's how you do this, right? So let's go over it one more time. 3,000 BTUs equals an unknown quantity times 1.08 times your delta T, which we're going to use 20 because we're doing it for cooling. So 3,000 BTUs equals an unknown quantity times 21.6. You would take this number and divide it into that 3,000 BTUs, and that gives you your CFM for that particular room, okay? You should do this first once you have your heat loss done, and then we can get to designing the duct, because you want to make sure this CFM is delivered to each room properly. So on the next video, I'm going to erase all this, and I'm going to show you guys how you start with your duct and how you taper your duct down as you get rid of those CFMs. And you also want to keep your velocity at a certain rate too, okay? And there's recommendations, I think it's SMACNA and ACA that recommend velocities different for residential and commercial, obviously, because residential is a little bit quieter, commercial you can go a little bit noisier just because of all the background noise. So this is a beginning. Let me know if I need to explain it a little bit better. We'll get into this more as we do the actual designing of the duct, and I'll try to get a better. I might use this whole whiteboard, but I'm using half because I have some other personal information on this other side. So let me know if this makes sense to you guys. But this is where you want to start, right here. This formula. This is X right now too, because we don't know what that is until you do your heat loss. You put your value in there, and then you have these two numbers that are fixed based on you're always going to size for cooling in most regions, and then this is going to be an X too. So you don't determine this, we'll determine this, okay? In this instance, 3,000 BTUs is going to be, if you size it for the cooling side, you're going to need 138 to 140 CFM. Off the top of my head, if it was my house, I'd probably do 7-inch rigid or 8-inch flex, and you always want to put dampers in all your runs to make sure that you're dampering stuff down, and you want to dial it in with a flow hood, which I don't do on every job. I'm a one-man band, but I can get it close enough where my customers are happy. So that's part one. Part two I'll probably do tomorrow, and part three might wait until next weekend. But I'm going to do 3 parts and show you how all of this comes together based on the first portion of this video where I showed you the 3 steps to duct design. So thanks for watching, guys.